Okay, we are recording. It probably gave you a notification. So again, I just want to welcome everyone. We're so delighted to have you here. As I mentioned, I have had the privilege of hearing Deb speak. I am a big fan of Deb and her work. Always really inspired to learn from her. She crams so much into an hour, and I hope you're ready to take some notes because she is going to give you a lot of information. And if you don't know a lot about Deb, I just wanted to take a moment to introduce her. Deb Boulanger, she is the CEO and founder of The Great Do-Over and the Launch Lab for Women Entrepreneurs. She's also the host of the Life After Corporate podcast. She is an amazing coach and consultant who's really committed to helping women leaders make the leap from the corporate sector to becoming an entrepreneur, and also in building up your leadership skills and, developing new ways to approach your success in your life. So for 20 years, Deb has launched dozens of services that has generated hundreds of millions in revenue for her clients. And she has launched and grew a single division from zero to $32 million in just 30 months. She has taught and advised hundreds of new and aspiring women entrepreneurs to use these same proven strategies to test their business ideas and validate their money-making model. So, Deb, we're so excited. And
thank you.
We're ready
Thank
to
you,
hear from
Gina.
you.
Thank you. And I'm so excited. And I met Gina through Elevate Network. I'm also a chapter leader for Elevate for the entrepreneurs sector. And we invite you to go to elevatenetwork.com, check out our programming, join us as a guest for any of our upcoming sessions. So Gina, thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here. And not only do I work with people from the corporate sector, but also nonprofit and education. And I think it's even more important that people from nonprofit sectors and the education sector get some business coaching when you launch your business, because you're coming from this place of, oh, there are limited funds available. So we can only do so much, to a place where there's unlimited potential, which requires you really shifting your mindset and your perspective on not only what's possible, but also what you ask for. So I have some slides to share today. If you're just joining us, this will be a highly interactive session today, and highly encourage you to take notes or turn on Otter AI and get a transcript from this session today. And I will be fully present, and it doesn't matter if you have hair and makeup on today or not. You can feel free to show your beautiful face and be fully present. So with that, Gina, is it okay if I share my screen?
Absolutely, please do.
All right, so today we are having a conversation of how to replace your salary as a coach or consultant. Another name for this is 5 steps to 6 figures. And this is ideal for you if you have a big idea, but you feel overwhelmed and you're not really sure of how you would get started. And there might be a little bit of fear involved, and you might be asking yourself, well, what happens if it doesn't work? What if I fail? What if I do this and it doesn't work out? Or maybe you have dipped your toe in the water of entrepreneurship, but haven't yet been able to close any clients. Or sometimes I'm talking to entrepreneurs who have been at it a while, coaching and consulting, but they've hit a growth plateau and they can't seem to figure out what's going on, but they know that they want to know more, and they feel a bit lost as to what to do next. So today I'll be sharing with you how to build a solid foundation for your business that scales, how to find a niche that's neither too small or too big, how to validate your idea without wasting a ton of time and money chasing down the wrong client with the wrong product, and how to stand out in what has become an increasingly crowded market, and to map your path to 6 figures as a coach or consultant. So if that sounds like a great use of your time, please just type me in chat. So until we get to Q&A, which will be in about 30 minutes, Feel free to type in chat. Does this map what you'd like to do? Great. Thank you, Gina. Thank you, Sharon, and Carol, Whitney. Thank you so much. Wonderful. So I'm Deb Boulanger, and Gina already introduced me as a corporate product executive in my years in the corporate world, where I grew that $32 million line of business in 30 months. I became known as a launch expert. I really have a knack for understanding what is the unseen and unmet need in the market that you could develop a service package around and make six figures, make mid six figures, seven figures. There is really no limit. And she's already shared my businesses. But my mission is to really close the revenue gap with women entrepreneurs. And what that means is that if we thought there was a wage gap in the corporate world or in the education sector, the wage gap in entrepreneurship is 260% wider. Women on average are earning 30 cents to the dollar compared to male-owned businesses. And I'll go into a little bit more about why that is, but it has to do with how much women undervalue themselves and they undervalue their impact. Now, since this is the first time most of us are meeting, I just want to share with you, I'm a truth teller. Everything I share with you today is practical and actionable. You can put it to work in your own life, in your own business. As I mentioned, I like a lot of conversation back and forth. It'll be interactive. And there's really no hype here. This is all based on proven systems, a proven methodology that anyone can follow, and based on my 25 years of launching successful services into the marketplace. So why is this conversation so important, and why now? As of last week, there were 4.7 million new business applications filed in the United States alone this year. We're in the midst of what is being called the Great Resignation. And yet what we know from our statistics around women in entrepreneurship is that 88% of women business owners earn less than six figures. And that statistically, 75% of all new businesses will fail. And I'm just curious, why do you think the failure rate is so high? What is it that you feel might be the number one reason for new business failure? Take a guess, type in chat what you think the number one reason for businesses fail. Lack of confidence? Absolutely, Sue. It's definitely something that will bring you down and bring you down fast. Anyone else have a guess? Just take a guess. You don't have to be right. It's not meeting a need. Christine, I feel like you must know me. We've met before. It's not meeting a need, right? So you're pulled in many different directions. Lack of prioritization would certainly be a cause. And being undervalued, Carol, for certain will keep you broke. The number one reason for new business failure is no market need. And when I first heard that, I thought, oh my God, like who would ever go through the getting past the fear, launching a business, taking the risk when there was no one who wanted to buy what you were selling? So that's when I knew that was a problem that I could solve. And that's when I launched the Launch Lab for Women Entrepreneurs, because when you make the leap, it doesn't feel safe. There's no one giving you a paycheck every 2 weeks or once a month, and nothing that you've done in corporate or in higher ed or in nonprofit has prepared you for this. So you end up focusing on the right thing, but at the wrong time because it feels like progress. So let me play this forward. And I'm curious, is there anyone here who has already launched a business? So if you can type in chat, launched, if you've already launched a business, idea, if you have a business idea, or yeah, that's it, launched or have a business idea, or you're still kind of figuring it out. All right, so Heidi, you have an idea. Julie is launched, awesome. Possible idea, figuring it out. Okay, wonderful. So this is why this conversation is so important. You're all early stage. Most women, when they first launch a business, they focused on the right thing, but at the wrong time for the sake of progress. What that looks like is, I have my LLC, I have a website, I hired someone to do my logo, and I have a branding consultant, but you don't have any clients. And the number one thing you need when you launch a business is to get clients. And to do that, you need to validate your market, validate your solution, validate your messaging. And truthfully, that is the only thing that matters right now, because you need to find the gap that everyone else is missing so that you can stand out in what's become a very crowded market. So there are 5 steps to replacing a 6-figure salary as a coach or consultant. Number 1 is to find the gap. Number 2 is to get proof. Number 3 is to create compelling products. Number 4 is to price based on value. I have a whole separate training called my Pricing Masterclass. We deliver it every couple of months. And before we're finished, Gina, if you could just prompt me, I have a pricing calculator that you can download. And when you download the pricing calculator, you are put on our list as someone who's interested in pricing, and you'll get an invite to the Pricing Masterclass when the next one becomes available. And then once you have your programs in place, you've got your products, your pricing based on value, people need to discover you. So you need to amplify your voice, amplify your message. And for some, that's the most uncomfortable part, is being known for what you want to be known for. Because the truth is, without these 5 things, you really don't have a business. You just have an idea. So let's dive into each one of these in more detail so that you can have more clarity on how you would go about finding the gap in your market. So finding the gap means that you're either solving a new problem or you're solving a problem in a new way. So to do that, we need to do a little research. We need to be curious. We need to do some forensics and find the opportunity that others are missing or are not solving well. So before you leap, find the gap in your marketplace. So let me pose this question to you. How would you stand out in a crowded market of coaches or consultants? And I can best illustrate this by telling a story about Sharon Yip, who was one of my very first clients in the Launch Lab a few years ago. And she was a director in an accounting firm who was a tax accountant, basically. And when she made the leap, she said, "Deb, I have an idea for a business." I said, "Sharon, that's great. What do you want to do?" She said, "I want to be a tax accountant for small businesses." Now, if you've ever seen Peanuts, and I guess this time of year we're heading toward the holidays, you think of the teacher in the front of the room going, wah, 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 wah. A tax accountant to small businesses isn't really anything that's compelling. There's nothing differentiating you here. So what we did was she did some research, and she said, "You know what, Deb, cryptocurrency is exploding on the marketplace. No one knows how to report their cryptocurrency earnings, and even the IRS at that point hadn't really figured out how to regulate cryptocurrency trades." So Sharon took that position as an advisor to frequent traders, so high volume traders in cryptocurrency, and tax professionals whose clients were now asking questions that they could not answer about how to report cryptocurrency trades. She became a regular contributor to the magazine Bloomberg Tax, and she's now launching a crypto certification program for tax professionals. The last time I chatted with Sharon, she had 9 full-time staff, I believe, and 4 freelancers that she was working with, and was on track for 6 figures, for hitting $1 million this year. So that's what finding a gap in the market. So if you're taking notes, you might want to write this down. What is the gap in the market that I solve? So what is the gap in the problem that you solve? And here are some criteria for how you select what gap you fill. Number one, it should be narrow. The narrower you cast, the better. Number two, it needs to be identifiable. People who have the problem need to know that they have a problem. Otherwise, you're educating the market on the fact that they have a problem, and that's an uphill battle. Three, you need to actually be able to solve it and provide a solution that people will pay for. And lastly, you need to differentiate your position in the market from everyone else. So if you're a coach or a consultant in an area that tends to be really popular right now, I happen to work with a lot of DEI consultants. I work with consultants who are looking to help companies make headway on protecting the environment. I work with a lot of change management consultants and executive coaches, leadership coaches, life coaches. So you need to be able to differentiate yourself in some of these markets that are getting rather crowded. Because the truth is, if you don't fill a gap, you simply don't have a business. So step two is to find proof that people will pay you. So how do you know if people are willing to pay and how much they're willing to pay for the solution that you're providing? So I want to share with you another case study here of Molly. So Molly is an in-demand change management consultant. When we first met, she was also a member of Elevate Network. She was charging by the hour. She had absolutely no time. She barely had time to meet with me. And I said, well, how's your business growing? She says, well, I'm tapped out. I'm tapped out on time, which means I'm tapped out on money. And she had no time to build out a new value proposition, which she wanted to build out a certification program in her methodology of change management. And she was in demand because she is an expert at driving massive adoption of new processes and technologies in highly regulated industries. So what we did was I looked at her pricing, and we moved from an pricing by the hour to packaged pricing. And we modeled this out. We doubled what she was charging for her hourly rate, and put together a model for, well, here's a normal size project in her area. Here's a large one. Here's a medium sized one. And the very next day, she got a request for proposal, and she quoted her fees, and they said, perfect, we'll send over a PO. So not only is she wasting time by having to justify all the hours that she's working and tracking those hours and reporting on those hours, she literally doubled her price. She too is on track for $1 million this year. She's working less. She increased her revenue by 2.5 times. And she's now building out that certification program in her methodology. So what proof do you have that people will pay your fees? And sometimes you need to continue to raise your rates until you get a ceiling, because you have to remember that you can always negotiate down. But if you've underbid yourself or you're charging by the hour, it's really hard to double back on that and then switch up to a different pricing model. So to find proof, you need to find where people are getting solutions today, who's providing those solutions. You need to decide if the market is big enough for you to pursue, and you need to prove the people that you target will invest in your solution. And that is before you ever invest a dime in building out your products or program. And when I say products, I'm really talking about packaged solutions, packaged services, and I call them products. Because without proof, you really don't have a business, you just have a business idea. And that's where many of you are today in this discussion. And step 3 is to create your value-based offer. And I think this is where women get hung up mostly, especially when it comes to pricing. What will you offer and how much will you charge? It's very triggering. And it's very triggering. Who knows why pricing is triggering? I would love to hear from you in chat. Why is pricing triggering? What happens to you when you are in a situation and you have to quote your fees to someone? What goes on in your head? You might be questioning your self-worth. Gina, that might not be fair. You may have consumed more of my training than others here. You want to help. You feel bad about charging too much. That's such a juicy one. Women are encouraged to serve, right? We have not been raised to think about our value and quoting higher rates. I'm not worth that much. So what you charge is all tangled up with your own self-worth. Or you worry that people might not pay or they might not think it's worth it, right? So pricing is a charged issue for all of those reasons. So what you're really doing when you're launching new products or programs as a coach or consultant is you're taking your clients on a journey of change, and you're meeting them where they are, you're identifying where they want to go, and you're creating a step-by-step path for them to get there through consistent frameworks. And frameworks are very important because those are all the stops along the way, right? So if you've rode a subway system or the tube in London, you know, to get from one place to the other, there's a number of stops, and that's what your framework might look like. So here's a story, and this one is my story. And this was my first year in business. I'd been in business probably about 6 months at this point. And I was asked by the coach I was working with, would I get up on stage at her event and present to my peers in this coaching mastermind community? And she asked me to do that because I was the only one in the room who had successfully gotten to 5-figure months. So that means I was making more than $10,000 a month in my first year in business, and she wanted me to be inspiration for the others in the room. But when I looked around the room, I realized that most of the women in that room did not even have a tested or validated business idea. And that's when I decided to make it my mission to close that revenue gap with women entrepreneurs by helping them through my own methodology. So this is an example of getting clients from one place to where they want to go with a series of stops along the way. So this is my program framework. And if you're developing a coaching program, if you're developing even a standard consulting engagement, you want repeatable frameworks that you can rinse and repeat. This is super important for my business right now because the Launch Lab is a program that is already in existence. I can continually enroll in it. It is consistent. People get consistent results. So the 5 steps are to discover the gap, which we've talked about, to find proof, to price and package your services, develop your standout messaging, that differentiated value proposition that you're putting out there in the market so that you can validate your money-making model, which is, that's why I want to share the pricing calculator with you so you can reverse engineer how you're going to hit that number. So right before this presentation today, I was on with my 6-figure accelerator clients. So these are people who already have businesses and they want to double their revenues or grow their businesses by 6 figures year after year. And one of the things that we were talking about is how they now have repeatable strategies to generate more revenue in their businesses. And we're talking about our goals for next year. So it's super important that you name that number, that you actually have a revenue goal. And I know a lot of people don't. So if you have a revenue goal, type in chat if you already have a business and do you have a revenue goal? Yes or no? Y or N is fine. And to develop frameworks, your frameworks need to be consistent. They need to be repeatable, and they need to be proven to deliver on the desired result that you have for your clients. Because without a solid framework that delivers consistent results, you don't really have a business. You're always reinventing the wheel and you're like a gun for hire. And that leads to stress, it leads to burnout, it leads to lower overall revenues. So the question to ask yourself, if you're journaling this, is what's my unique offer? What is the problem that I solve? What's unique about my approach and my delivery? And how will I stand out with my messaging when I go to amplify my voice? So here's what we've covered. It's a crowded market. You need to find the gap. To make money, you need to solve a problem and find proof that people are willing to pay you. And you need a unique offer that differentiates your value. And to really check the box on that, yes, I have a substantial business, you need to check off those three things. So I would love to, and since we're in the room together, I would love to just stop sharing for a moment and ask, what are you taking away so far? What's been the biggest insight for you? And welcome to the new people I didn't see before I start sharing. Anyone can hop in. What's the biggest takeaway so far?
One thing that I've noticed is that I offer unique value that will add a lot of value to my customers, and I need to market that as something that could drive my price point up.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What is your business, Nicole?
So I actually sell wigs to women who are suffering from alopecia, whether that be from just androgens that are in the body that cause women to lose hair, or just different things that can cause women to suffer from hair loss and affect their self-esteem.
Yeah. So, getting out there, even though you're selling a product, I mean, anything you're selling right now is a content play. Marketing equals content. I mean, if you're taking notes, content. So if you're on social media, if you're selling your wigs through Instagram, then it's all about the content. It's all about storytelling so that your clients can see themselves in the stories that you tell. And that's what will drive the sale of more wigs.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Deb. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Whitney says, Sue said, ID the gap. Absolutely, Sue. Whitney, that a lot of pre-planning is needed and required. Yeah, it's not a lot, but definitely you want to go in there with eyes wide open. I always say, whether you're starting a business or falling in love, it's like eyes wide open, heart fully prepared, for what comes ahead. Because the other beautiful thing about this entrepreneurial journey is you get to see yourself in a new light that you've never seen yourself in before. And, just that alone is a path of spiritual and professional growth. And marketing about my uniqueness. Yeah, Sherry. And how, Sherry, I'm curious, what's your business?
So right now I am a mental health counselor. And so looking at going into the private sector.
Private sector, you mean coaching?
Yeah, well, for licensed mental health care.
Licensed mental health
but
care.
having my own business versus working for somebody else.
Sounds great. Sounds great. What's your biggest challenge when you think about how to do that?
I think part of it has to do with the financial risk of doing it, and just kind of being willing to make that leap and leaving something that is stable, but being willing to, make that
investment.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is an investment. It's an investment in yourself. It's an investment in your future success. And Gina, can you type in https://expert singular pricingcalculator.com for people? And one thing that I will say, Sherry, is that you need to have funds. You need to have funds to invest in your business startup, and you need to have funds to bridge yourself while you're making this transition. And even it'd be great if you had a few clients in your pocket that you were already working with, right?
Yeah, and I have a couple platforms and looking at how to get those clients started, but it's just making the jump.
Cool. Cool.
Deb, I posted a link for the calculator that I found on your website, and it's not the one you said.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the right one, or do you want me to retype that other link? I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
no, it's okay. The other one is just a redirect to this page.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's just when I'm speaking, I don't have to say thegreatdoover.com/pricing.
Okay. Perfect.
Just a little marketing hack. Anyone else? Jessica, would you like to talk about validating your money model? Oh, you're muted. We're not hearing you. Still not hearing. Check your audio session settings and then we'll come back to you. Anyone else with a question at this point before I go on? Comment, takeaway? No? Am I good? Are you getting value out of this? Yeah, thumbs up?
Yes, you're great. And thank you so much just for pointing out that a lot of times us as women, we don't value what we have to bring to the table, and we haven't been reared to, come up with ways of making money. We're seen as more so servers rather than people who are, able to make money and live a good life in this world from our value that we bring to the table. So thank you so much, Deb.
Yeah, you're so welcome, Nicole. Yeah, we were raised to be caretakers, mothers. I didn't get, my father was a very successful chief financial officer in the corporate world. When it came time for me to go to college, I didn't really have any guidance. I was a really good babysitter, so I got a degree in education. And where do you see women in corporate? You see them in human resources, you see them in marketing, it's in all the services type of professions. And it's even hard for women to invest in themselves, both time and money, because we're always putting others before ourselves. If you're a mother, at the drop of a hat, your kid needs something, you would jump through hoops to get that child whatever it is they need, no matter how much it costs. Exactly. When it comes to investing in yourself and in your future and in your happiness and your success, it's just like, oh, I could never do that. Right. So those are some of the things, some of the mindset issues that need to change if we're to move forward and move beyond. So where we are. So thank you, guys. So ask yourself, how committed am I? This is not the easy path. The easy path is actually collecting a paycheck is much easier than launching a business. So on a scale of 1 to 10, would love to hear from you. How much do you really want it? How much do you really want to be able to build a multiple six-figure? There is no ceiling. There is no glass ceiling in entrepreneurship. The only limitation that you have is a one of your own creation. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm curious, how committed are you? Are you sitting on the fence? Are you not sure? Are you a 10 all the way? Type in chat where you're sitting on your commitment level for how committed you are to making this a success. Not sure, right? 10. Yay, Jessica. I'll come back to you in the next round. 5 or 6. All right. So realize if you're a 5 or 6, you're not yet ready. Even as a 7, Nicole, you have to make a commitment that you're going to go all in. There's no turning back. Right. So in the pandemic, I doubled my revenue, not because I sat back and said, oh my God, what's going on in the world? It's just like, who can I serve? Who can I help? What can I create? How can I get out there? And through service, got that return on investment. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you want it? Because what's possible here is that the ability to impact change, to impact mental health, to help women feel better about themselves, to be well paid, and to have the freedom and the flexibility to live the life that you want to live. And that's why everyone who's in here is doing it. It's not because of the money. It's because, yes, we want to get paid, but there are people that we want to help, people we want to serve, and an impact that we want to make in the world. And that might mean that you want more freedom. You want to work flexible hours to be with your family. You want more travel. You want to be able to live anywhere in the world. And the truth is that no one gets there alone. So Gina and I talked a little bit before this session, and I said, you know, anyone who wants to take this further, I can offer you a time on my calendar. You need to fill out an assessment first and schedule a breakthrough session, but you can apply now at launchlabassessment.com. And in that assessment, even if you don't book a call with me, which is fine, the assessment is important in and of itself because it'll show you the 5 major areas of launching a successful business. And you can give yourself a score on how confident you're feeling on each of those criteria so that you know where to focus your attention. So I have 7 more spots available on my calendar through December 20th. And this is not the only talk I'm giving this week. So if you want one of those, grab that Launch Lab assessment link right now, and I'll be happy to have a one-on-one with you. And this is if you're in the services sector. I really don't, you know, as far as products and supply chains and distribution channels, that's not really my bag. My jam is really how to package and sell services. So if you book this call, here's what you'll get: clarity about your gap in your market, what it takes for you to find proof that people are willing to pay for the solution that you're delivering. And direction on how to develop and price your offer and what that might look like step by step. And before, you know, I always love to reach out to colleagues and ask them, you know, what advice do you have for the people that I'm talking to here today? And here's what they had to say. They said, you know, I would have taken the leap sooner if I knew then what I know now. I didn't need to be so afraid. It's not as hard as I was making it out to be. And I would test the market first earlier to find proof. And being confident in your offers is the most important thing. And that's why we test. We don't guess at what the offers are. We test because that gives you firm confidence that there's demand before you start building supply. So let's find your gap together. All you need to do is fill out the assessment. If you qualify, you'll be invited to a breakthrough session. There's no charge. It says for Elevate members. There's no charge for people here in the Ursula University section. And thank you so much. I really appreciate you inviting me and giving me the time. Yeah. So Jessica, you fixed your mic. Oh, we still can't hear you. Oh, you're on the phone. You're muted.
I think you have to *6 on your phone.